I once believed trust was a fire that never went out, that if you kept feeding it, your time, your money, your soul, it would burn eternally, casting its warmth on everyone around you. I thought it was something that grew brighter with every sacrifice, every gesture of loyalty, every silent compromise you made for the people you loved. But on one gray morning, standing on a cracked gas station sidewalk with nothing but a duffel bag at my feet, I learned the fire of trust could vanish in an instant, leaving you shivering in the cold. That was the morning my family left me behind. Before I begin, if stories of struggle, resilience, and redemption resonate with you, make sure to subscribe for more powerful journeys like this one. And while you're here, drop your hometown in the comments. I'd love to know where you're watching from. Let's dive in. My name is Caleb, and for most of my life, I was the glue trying to hold together a family that didn't seem to want to stick. My mother, Diane, was a storm in the form of a woman, restless, unpredictable, and always sinking deeper into debts she had no intention of facing. Bills piled up around her like waves crashing against the shoreline. But instead of learning how to swim, she simply waited for someone else to throw her a life preserver. That someone was always me. My sister, Nora, was no better. Gratitude was a foreign language to her, one she never bothered to learn. If "thank you" had been written across a neon sign in flashing lights, she would have walked past without glancing up. She lived like the world owed her a luxury lifestyle, new phones, flashy cars, weekend getaways. And me? I was the one who made sure her gas tank was full, her rent was paid, and her vacations went smoothly. People talk about enabling, but when it's your family, you don't think of it that way. You call it love. You tell yourself you're protecting them, helping them, that this is what family is supposed to do. And maybe in some ways it is. But when it becomes one-sided, when it's always you holding the rope while everyone else pulls, you don't realize how much it's strangling you until it's too late. I thought family retreats would fix us. That maybe if I rented the cabins, paid for the boat, cooked the meals, and handled the costs, we'd laugh again like we used to. Maybe Diane would smile at me, not with obligation, but with pride. Maybe Nora would look at me as a brother and not just a walking bank account. Year after year, I funded those escapes, telling myself they were worth it if they bought us a few days of peace. But that year, they planned something different. A 5-day trip to a vineyard estate, tucked in rolling hills with wine tastings that cost more than my monthly rent. I didn't hesitate. I cleared my calendar, bought a new jacket, asked a neighbor to water my plants. I was ready to belong. That morning, I arrived at the gas station, my duffel heavy in my hand, the diesel air thick with anticipation. The van was parked there, my mother leaning against it, her arms folded, her eyes harder than I'd ever seen them. Nora was in the back seat, headphones on, grinning at something on her phone. I reached for the van's rear door, my heart swelling with relief that I hadn't been forgotten. But then Diane's voice cut through the air like a blade. "Caleb," she said flatly, "we think you'd rather sit this one out." At first, I thought she was joking. My brain couldn't process the words. Sit this one out? I glanced at Nora, waiting for her to laugh, to roll her eyes at the absurdity. Instead, she smirked, pulled her headphones down just long enough to snort, and muttered, "Yeah, Caleb. Maybe next time." I didn't argue, didn't shout. My duffel slipped from my hand, its zipper scraping the pavement like the sound of something breaking inside me. I turned back to my truck. As their van roared away, kicking dust into my face, I realized I wasn't just left behind. I was discarded. Driving home, I expected tears or fury. Instead, a cold clarity settled over me like frost on glass. I had given them everything, my savings, my energy, my loyalty. And they'd left me behind like I was nothing but an inconvenience. That night, my phone buzzed. A Venmo request. $12,800. Your part. As if I'd been clinking champagne glasses and sipping Pinot Noir under vineyard stars. My laugh was sharp, bitter, hollow. I sent back $20 with a single word, done. But the truth was, I wasn't done. Not even close. For years, quietly, almost unconsciously, I had been preparing for this moment. Saving scraps of dignity. Building reserves of strength. Imagining what it would be like to finally stop being their safety net. And now, for the first time, I was ready to step out of their shadow. I picked up the phone and called Miriam and Saul, my aunt and uncle, the only ones who had ever seen me, as more than a wallet. They had been pushed to the sidelines of our family long ago, casualties of Diane's grudges and Nora's selfishness. When I told them everything, the van, the vineyard, the Venmo request, they listened in silence. Until Miriam's voice broke, trembling but fierce. "We're with you, Caleb," she said. Saul's response was steady, unshakable. "Always." 3 days later, I stood in the vineyard's tasting room, my duffel rolling behind me, Miriam's steady hand on my arm, Saul's booking confirmation in his grip. Diane and Nora were at the bar, laughing over a wine flight, their glasses half raised when they saw me. The laughter died instantly. Nora's glass froze mid-tilt, Diane's face went pale. And then they saw Miriam and Saul. The room stilled. Miriam's voice was calm, but sharp enough to slice through stone. "If you think ditching Caleb is what family does, then you've got some soul-searching to do." Diane stammered. Nora shifted uncomfortably. Neither spoke. We walked past them without another word, checked into our cottage, and for the first time in years, I felt no need to explain myself. My existence was enough. That night, under fairy lights strung across a pergola, Miriam and Saul hosted a family dinner. The table sparkled with crystal, but the air was heavy. Diane picked at her salad. Nora scrolled her phone. Saul set down his glass with a deliberate clink, the sound echoing like a gavel. "Tell me," he said, locking eyes with Diane. "Why did you think it was okay to leave Caleb behind?" Diane forced a weak chuckle, muttered something about a mix-up. Miriam didn't let her escape. She listed every sacrifice I had made. The rent, the car loans, the retreats, the endless ways I had kept them afloat. Her words were steady but scalding. Nora flushed. Diane fumbled. But Saul leaned forward, his tone final. "If this is how you treat the one person who's carried you, maybe we need to rethink who gets our trust." The word trust landed like a stone in water, rippling through the silence. Later, Miriam and Saul revealed their true reason for coming. They weren't just here to defend me. They were here to entrust me with everything. Their accounts, properties, even their family foundation. Not someday. Now. By morning, Diane and Nora were desperate. Their eyes flickered with panic as they poured coffee, offered fake smiles, tried to rewrite the narrative. But the truth had already cut through. At brunch, Saul made it official. $80,000, he announced, already transferred to Caleb. A starting point. The clink of Diane's fork, the crash of Nora's spoon, it was almost theatrical. They begged, promised, pleaded. But Miriam's words silenced them. Family isn't promises. It's what you do. When we left the vineyard, I carried more than a duffel. I carried freedom. Freedom from their expectations, their manipulations, their chains. My phone lit up with texts, apologies, lunch invites, pleas for unity. But I knew better. They didn't want me. They wanted what I held. And for the first time, I wasn't handing it over. My name is Caleb, and I learned that trust can cost you everything. But sometimes, the highest price buys the greatest freedom. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever had to cut ties with people who only saw you for what you could give, leave a comment. Smash that like button. Subscribe for more stories that dive deep into the hardest truths. And remember, the toughest choices are the ones that set you free.